All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 360 Sports Show. We're coming to you live through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. We are live every single Sunday starting at 11 a.m. We have a lot to talk to here today. A lot of football here. Conference Championship Day in the NFL, so the football news will dominate most of the show, but we'll be sure to get into a lot of the other things that happen in the world of sports this week, along with your questions, which you can send to us through any of the comment sections through our live streams or by emailing the show, the360sportshow at gmail.com. Well, that's the housekeeping. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber. Christian, how are we doing? How are we doing this week? How are we doing? How are we
Not too
hanging
bad.
in?
Yeah, hanging in, not too bad. There's some stuff to do this week. We got hockey back, basketball, so we got some distractions, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's also it's good to have lots to watch because it's been frigid, so
Yes,
can't
that too.
can't do too much outside this week. So let's just start. We're gonna start with the NFL stuff because that's gonna dominate the headlines today, and the NFL usually dominates the headlines anyways. But let's just kind of quickly react. I mean, obviously it was a week ago already. We had already given our reaction to Saturday's divisional games on the show live last week. So let's kind of just give a quick reaction to the Sunday games, which we had picked on the air. And we'll start with Chiefs Browns. I kind of feel, I mean, obviously so much has been picked through the game, but the takeaway I take from that game, neither one of us thought that the Browns were going to actually have a chance to win unless something weird happened. Mahomes goes down. All of a sudden, the doors open for the Browns, and they still end up coming up short. They had their chances. But what I take away from that game, big takeaway, Andy Reid, ballsy, good and bad. Good? Hey, backup quarterbacks in the game. A lot of stuff wasn't going your way. That game could have slipped away. You have a chance to just win the game with one play. It doesn't matter that it's Chad Henne. You've got all these other weapons. You just need one play to end the game, and he decides to go for it on fourth down and seals the game. Great. Everybody lauded that decision. Bad ballsy? Calling like a sprint option play with your hobbled quarterback who's the franchise, and he gets croaked, and he was already limping on a toe. Toe injuries are no joke. So you're already making the guy like do more than he probably should. And then he gets like hogtied and ripped around and knocked out somehow or another and knocked out of the game. That decision could have cost them their season. So as much as everybody wants to say good Andy Reid, like, wow, ballsy, go for it on fourth down, he actually could have also cost, and we'll see what Mahomes is this weekend.
Yeah.
He could have cost them their season and a chance at another Super Bowl. So Andy Reid, ballsy good, ballsy bad. What your thoughts on that game?
I mean, the usual, you take the bad with the good. I don't know about putting Mahomes out there to just kind of ruin not only this year, but potentially years from now. But hey, they won the game, and ultimately it looks like Mahomes is going to play. At what percentage he's at, that remains to be seen, and that's a huge question mark here for the Chiefs today because he's your guy, right? So if you're going against Buffalo, who is probably the hottest team in football right now, I want to say, between them and the Packers, one of them, that team is going to be ready to go, I would assume. So it's going to be a tough day for Mahomes regardless, but now with that foot especially, obviously the concussion stuff is not good, but he's out of that protocol, so it's really about the foot. In terms of the game itself, I mean, the Browns had their chances. That's the biggest takeaway I had. Like, we knew going into the game, the Chiefs were probably going to win it, and I said it could be a blowout. It turns out Mahomes gets hurt, and then here's your chance, and they opened it up a little bit. They had a bit of a comeback, but they fell short once again, and they had chances. Make no mistake about it, they had their chances.
Yeah, and I think it would have been great. Browns, Bills. To talk about throwbacks. I think for Cleveland, beating Pittsburgh was a great step. Competing, albeit with Mahomes hurt, competing in that game is another next step. I think this is one of those losses where if you're a Cleveland fan, you come out of it being annoyed, frustrated, but feeling good about the future of your team. So the Browns, especially with who knows what happens with Roethlisberger leaving, what can the Ravens continue to be going forward? Joe Burrow's not going to be 100% at some point until probably 2 years from now. So that division could be theirs for the foreseeable future in the AFC North. So future looks good for the Browns.
Well, they also have never been to this spot, right? So that's a feat in itself. And of course, how many times have we said the Browns are loaded this year? and look out. And then they hired Freddie Kittens, and then that went
They
to
go
crap.
6-10.
Yeah, but this year they actually came out and played pretty well. I thought Mayfield maybe made some strides towards something, and then obviously Odell Beckham still wasn't out there. So whether that helps or hurts, I'm not sure. I mean,
Yeah, true.
they looked good with him off the field. So if he comes back, does that make them a whole ton better? I'm not sure, but they're in a good spot anyway. I mean, they made some strides this year, which is if you're a Browns fan or if you like the Browns, that's a good thing because strides are not very good for the Browns. Yeah.
No, yeah. The other game on the divisional docket last Sunday was Bucs Saints, and my takeaway from that game is just that it was more about bad Saints than good Bucs. I think the Bucs kind of showed you that they were who we thought they were. It's not like the Bucs came out and had this crazy, this awesome game plan. And they'd made all these adjustments. There was a period of that game where it was like the Saints are dominating this game, just not on the scoreboard, which makes you concerned. Any game, no matter who you're playing, if you feel like you're dominating the game but not scoring, you get worried because you let a team hang around, especially when Tom Brady is on the other side. They had a chance to go up 2 touchdowns, and if Jared Cook can just hold on to a ball, the Saints were marching ready to take a 2-touchdown lead, and then who knows where that game goes from there. The Bucs probably abandon the run. Brady's now a sitting duck back there, and because they're trying to go deep and get big plays, completely different game. Now I get it. The Bucs made the plays. The Bucs deserved to win. We saw a lot afterwards from Drew Brees about the injuries he'd played through this year and different things going on with him. So it's kind of more evident that it wasn't necessarily that he was just falling off some cliff. Because with some of the inabilities he had, it was more about injury. But guess what? That's usually what happens. You get so banged up, your body just can't do it anymore. That's usually what happens when you're 42 years old trying to be an elite athlete. So
unless you're Tom Brady.
Well, that's the thing. We'll get into that. We'll have a segment on some absurd Tom Brady statistics. Yeah. The big exception to the rule. But at the end of the day, I still think the Saints are the better team, and I think that whether it was Brees being hurt, did they really miss Taysom Hill that much as far as some dynamic part of their offense? I don't know. They still had their chances, and I think they shot themselves in the foot more than the Bucs made plays. So congratulations, Tampa. You're in the NFC Championship game, but I think it's more bad Saints than good Bucs. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the difference in the game was Brees throwing the ball to Tampa. But I will say this. One thing about the Bucs is, regardless of how you view them in terms of coaching and everything like that, their defense has improved in the last few weeks here. So they're playing much better.
But they played Tyler Heineke and Drew Brees with no arm. So
sure, but I mean the Saints are not some slouch either. Michael Thomas, obviously he was hurt too, but I'll say this: they've been playing better, and today they're going to have to prove on the defensive side. So that's going to be their toughest test yet. But I'll say this: the difference in the game was Brees throwing the ball to Tampa, and Tampa getting touchdowns, not 3 points. Because the Saints went down there a number of times and either turned it over or only got 3. There's your game right there. How many times do we see in NFL games, if you turn the ball over, chances are you're going to lose, especially if the other team executes. And Tampa, if you're giving the ball to Brady with all those weapons around him from the 40-yard line, your own 40, look out. It's going to be a long day. And eventually, they had short fields on all their touchdowns. It was 20 yards, 40 yards, and it was not like they were driving the ball down the field, but you give it to them there, half the field, Brady's going to go in and score.
Yeah. So, the Bucs advance. So, your NFC Championship, which I believe that's the first game coming up today, will be Bucs at Packers.
305.
305. And then the late game is Bills at Chiefs. So, your remaining quarterbacks here in the NFL, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes / Chad Henne, and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Which quarterback is this postseason most important to? Who needs to say win this Super Bowl the most out of these remaining 4 quarterbacks?
It's not even close. It's Aaron Rodgers. This is going to be, I don't want to say his last chance because obviously you can get back here. But the guy has severely underachieved when it comes to championships, and that's not all his fault. The coach was not good for a while. Defense up and down. weapons around him up and down. But this is Rodgers' time. He has Devontae Adams, all these guys around him now, and a running game, which is important for them. And also, he's at home in the NFC title game. Like, if you lose this one, I don't know. But the problem with Rodgers is he's still talking about his MVPs and stuff. He doesn't care. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. The guy's kind of a tool. I love watching him play on the field, but does he really care if he wins or loses? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, I think he wants to win a title, but if he doesn't, is he going to be that upset? Whereas, like, Brady doesn't care about the titles. You know, which one is your favorite? And he says the next one. Like, Rodgers is not wired the same as a guy like Brady or some of the other guys in the league. So it's definitely most important for Rodgers to get through and try to punch his ticket, especially since the Packers right now are rolling. So what a failure if he doesn't get there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, for Rodgers, as a guy who's obviously on the second half of his career, who knows how long he can play for. He has had injuries. You know, he's not like Brady, who's basically had the one severe injury and then never misses a game. Rodgers has been banged up throughout his career, so I don't know if he's a guy that'll play till 43. So we don't know how much he has left in him. And like you said, kind of the one championship and a lot of other kind of disappointing ends to seasons, only getting to that one Super Bowl. For his legacy, he may not feel it, but for the pundits, for us, for other people, for Packers fans who want to say, like, Rodgers is like, put him in greatest of all time conversation, you're going to have to, like, you know, if you're going to argue, well, he's the greatest talent at quarterback ever, and you want to make him the greatest quarterback ever, you're going to have to also come in with, like, more than just one ring and one appearance. So his legacy needs this Super Bowl. Like, he needs it more. If Brady wins it or loses it, there will be people who'll hate on Brady if he loses us another Super Bowl. Oh, he's 6-4. It's like, listen to what you're saying. The guy got to 10 Super Bowls.
He's played 20 years in the league, by the way. 14 title games, and what would be a 10th Super Bowl if he got there?
Yeah. Like, so I think win or lose, at this point, anything Brady does is gravy for his legacy. So for him, it's personally important, but not important for his legacy. Mahomes, I think he's still young. So win or lose this game, or win or lose a Super Bowl, he'll be 1-1 in Super Bowls, or just have only gotten to one, but tons of time left in his career. Josh Allen, kind of important, but kind of in the inverse. I think if Josh Allen gets to this Super Bowl, he needs to win it. As a young quarterback, like, getting to the Super Bowl and then suffering, like, that defeat just does something to teams and people. And really the only team I've seen in recent memory that's been able to recover is the Patriots. Mm-hmm. They've lost Super Bowls and then come back, and you would never have guessed that they had just lost a Super Bowl the year before and they were suffering some sort of hangover. They lost that Super Bowl against the Eagles. That should have been the way that went down without Malcolm Butler, that whole situation. That could have, any other team, like, that tears that team apart, and they go like 3-13 the next year. No, it doesn't even matter who they have. Exactly.
Super Bowl like that. Same with the Falcons. I mean, those teams, like, talk about gut punching losses. You have Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line and you throw an interception, and the Falcons lose when you're up 28-3. Like, that's Teams don't come back from those huge losses in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but even if it's not like something like as gut wrenching as that, just losing. I mean, look at Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, we don't know what the Niners would have been this year with a healthy Garoppolo, but, like, you just feel like early on in your career, I really like Josh Allen and where he's going. If he gets to a Super Bowl and loses, I feel like that's like a negative that could derail his confidence in the direction of the team. And so I feel like it's important in that way. Like, Josh Allen, this was great to get here. You either win the Super Bowl or lose today, and your development, I think, would continue. I know that sounds stupid, like, oh, why would you want to get to the Super Bowl no matter what? It's just one of those, like, holistic-y type of things. You just look at the history of teams that get there and lose. It does something to those teams, especially the quarterback. So I agree. Aaron Rodgers needs to win the most. I think Josh Allen has the most to lose this postseason. So that's kind of the way I look at that. You brought up Brady. Here's some stats, right? This is absurd. This is just absolutely Absolutely ridiculous. Pick any 16 games from Tom Brady's postseason career, just his postseason career. Pick any 16 games and add the stats up from those 16 games. They'd rank somewhere in the top 10 of greatest passing seasons of all time.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. You debate who's greatest of all time, right? Like we were saying with Rodgers. Well, he's got all these stats and look at what he could do. But Brady's got all the rings and the winning, and he has stats too. But he couldn't do certain things. He couldn't throw the ball. It was a system, blah, all that stuff. But when people want to just talk about postseason, people want to say, well, who's the greatest winning? Who's the most winningest quarterback? Who's the best winningest quarterback, postseason quarterback? It's Brady because he's won the most. And not only that, he's won more than the next two guys combined. And even the next three, the top, the second, third, and fourth guy, I think it's Montana, Breeze, Manning. You combine those guys together for postseason wins, and they're only two or three more than Brady. So that's ridiculous. And he's still doing it. You look at what he's done, just take from the 2014 season, since he's turned 37, to now. And just his postseason numbers from when he turned 37 to now. Aside from Montana, he still has a better postseason career in total, if you only took the last 7 years, than Manning, than Breeze, than Roethlisberger, and on and on and on and on and on and on. In my opinion, the GOAT conversation for him ended when he got the fifth ring. Because it was he had 4, Montana's got 4, but he was 4-0, you're 4-2. You can debate that thing. Well, now he has 5. And then now it's just lapping the field. If playing in this game today, he's been in 73% of all conference championship game of his conference championship games since he became a starter. 50% of the Super Bowls since he became a starter, if he can get there in 2 weeks. 9 of the last 10 conference championships. And again, if he gets... Sorry, actually, no, he's already been in 50% of the Super Bowls since he was named a starter, not including if he wins today. If he does win today and plays in Super Bowl 55, he will have played in 18% of all Super Bowls. Yeah. That is ridiculous. And like I said, he continues to do it. What happens, people talk about peaks. Your peak is or your prime is where your athletic ability meets your experience, and that's where you can maximize yourself, and eventually it crisscrosses. And you start to decline physically while continuing to gain more experience, but at a certain point, the body can't do what the mind wants it to. Brady reached that in 07, and I think some of the things have kind of tailed down since 07, 2010. It's 11 years later, though, and the guy is not completely declined. He's still in a prime. His decline is still the prime for most other guys. So it is just absurd what the guy continues to do. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
20 years in the league, right? And he's been to 14 conference titles. So he's missed about 6 times to get to a conference title and go to the Super Bowl. A chance to go to the Super Bowl. And he's also been there 9 times. It's just so the GOAT conversation to me ends at you have 9 Super Bowl appearances, all those division titles, all the conference titles, and especially this one. So for me, it's Rodgers has obviously this is the most important season he's ever been in. But for Brady, how much does this cement him and his legacy if he gets to another Super Bowl on a different team away from Belichick and the Patriots? It looks pretty good for him. I think you immediately kind of tilt the arrow towards him instead of Belichick in terms of is it 90 to 10%? No, but it's 60-40 quarterback. And it looks good for Brady to get there again after a season where it kind of ended abruptly last season. Then he goes to a different team and then he's back in the Super Bowl. He only has, he can only gain something, right? Other than the haters and trolls on Twitter, but he still has a ton to gain and not much to lose. I mean, the guy is ridiculous. Yeah.
And we mentioned some of those other quarterbacks. So you mentioned Rodgers and Breeze and these guys. This kind of Rodgers isn't actually a young guy anymore. He's kind of now part of the old guard. But Mahomes and Allen, they're the new guard. Guys like Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. it's kind of the changing of the guard here in the NFL. I mean, Breeze, I don't think he's officially said, but I mean, all the reporting is that he's going to retire.
I would think so.
Phillip Rivers has announced his retirement. Roethlisberger, I don't think anybody really knows for sure what's going to happen with him. But all these guys are kind of on the outs.
Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer, in your opinion?
Yes. Yeah. He's the Dan Marino of this era.
I feel like he's borderline. Yeah, I feel like he's borderline.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it gets lost how good he was. So that's why I say he's kind of the Dan Marino of our time. And unfortunately, he played in an era with Brady, with Manning, and even like that. There's a period in the AFC where it was Brady, Manning just alternating, going back and forth to the Super Bowl, sprinkling Roethlisberger there, and like there was 1 year of Joe Flacco, but for the most part, it was always just Brady and Manning. And so the way was shut.
He kind of punched through there with some of those Chargers teams. Like that Chargers team was good for a while.
Well, that's the thing though. But it's not. You can't put it all. See, the advantage is like the Brady Belichick thing. Think about all of the dynasties or the other teams that they just ruined or knocked off. You know, quarterbacks whose careers they ruined. Coach quarterback combos that got broken up. Teams that could have won Super Bowls that, like the 2006 Chargers, should have won a Super Bowl. But it's Brady and Manning going into San Diego, and they're the ones that derail that MVP season for LT and all these things. Like the Patriots, and even in a way still having Manning and Roethlisberger as other two quality high-end quarterbacks that had good coaches. The way was, like I said, the way was shut. Another case in point about is just you can't put it all on Rivers. The 2010 Chargers team went 8-8.
Yeah.
They had the number 1 ranked defense and offense. Only team in league history to do that. Why did they go 8-8? Because they had historically, even worse than this past season, the worst special teams ever. They lost like 7 games directly because of special teams mistakes. Like that's gut wrenching. If you're Phillip Rivers, like that's what you had to deal with your whole career.
All I'm saying is it's like the Hall of Fame should be more. I don't want to say sacred. That's kind of weird.
But he has numbers.
Yeah, sure. But I feel like it's the Hall of Fame, right? So like I feel like you got to punch your ticket there with titles. I don't know. Like obviously we're in a day and age where everybody gets a trophy, so everybody gets in regardless. And I think he will get in, and I am probably he should get in. But I don't think it's like as definitive as everybody says.
Of the quarterbacks from this era, who do you put in? Like take from 2000. Let's just start when Phillip Rivers was drafted, 2005. From 2005 to now, he's retired. Of the quarterbacks that have been in the league, who do you put in?
That are retired or that are still playing?
I mean, there's some that are still playing, but obviously we know that they're like towards the end, like Brady and Breeze. So
Breeze is in, obviously. Brady is obviously in. I mean, those are unquestionable. And then you're looking at maybe Roethlisberger because, I mean, look, he's had some slouch years, but he won titles. And that team was never under 500 really to tank and get another guy. Like, so that's important. I think Roethlisberger gets in, even though he's had his rough times. But beyond that, I mean, I guess it's Rivers is next, just as most notable. But I don't think it's as clear cut, or it shouldn't be. I don't know. I feel like the Hall of Fame has gone by the wayside. It's not really a Hall of Fame. It's a Hall of everybody. So I don't know. I feel like it should be a little bit more dumbed down than it is. But, in terms of quarterbacks, Rivers is there and he's going to get in. But should he just be first ballot?
Oh, no. Right, I don't think he'll be first ballot.
Yeah. So I guess therein lies the difference. But again, like, I don't know. The Hall of Fame is. Look, we're in the day and age. A lot of people get in that maybe are on the bubble, so to speak, in every sport. It's not just the NFL. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Rivers is right there with those guys, but the not being able to win just kind of just.
But look who he's going up against. That's what I'm saying though. Like if he played in an era where there was no Brady or Manning, I'd say like, dude, you never were able to get through. You never were able to make it.
It's not like Manning was some like.
And those Chargers teams still managed. And some of them still managed to have some tremendous upsets. Like that Chargers team also, talk about derailing, the Chargers were also a thorn in Manning's side for a while too in the early 2000s.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Peyton Manning didn't. It's not like he went and won 10 Super Bowls. Like I don't know. I feel like Rivers, you got to get one if you're in that position. He was in the early 2000s, like 2000 to 2010. They had some teams in there where I feel like he should have punched his ticket through.
But again, they ran into the behemoth. They ran into Brady Belichick.
Well,
right? Like I just feel like it's almost unfair to expect that out of that team given what we know, which is just how impossible that was gonna how impossible of a task. I mean, people said that was David versus Goliath. No, it really was. Like, because Rivers never had a Belichick on his side.
Maybe I'm just being a bit overbearing. I just think like it's the Hall of Fame. It's not like.
Do you think Dan Marino shouldn't be in?
I don't know. I think he's kind of in the same boat almost. Like he obviously isn't. He'll get in. He should be in, I guess. But again, I just feel like you kind of raise the bar on a Hall of Fame. It's literally the best to ever do it. And those, to me, are winners, not just guys that got stats in the regular season.
We're getting called out in the comment section by Michael saying, number 1D, number 1O, leading the Chargers 1 year, no playoffs. We already mentioned that, Michael, and it was because they had historically one of the worst special teams units of all time. That's why that Chargers team in 2010 went 8-8. So, again, I can't put that on Rivers. Clearly, the offensive defense produced. And he says Marino changed the way the game was played. Okay, but I mean, then here's guys who went out and played the game that way. I just think in that time, who was better? So is Brady and Manning the only Hall of Fame quarterbacks from the 2010s or 2000s and 2010s? I don't think so. I definitely think now, listen, where I'll get off, like Joe Flacco is not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He has some good postseasons. And he won a Super Bowl and had one of the best postseason, like just a single 3-game stretch in NFL history. No. But he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. Ravens Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, whatever. Sure, great. Put the gold jacket on him? Absolutely not. I think Phillip Rivers is deserving. First ballot? I don't think so. But if you're gonna say hey, in the last 20 years, who were 5 of the best quarterbacks, he's in that conversation. And that means you should be Hall of Fame worthy.
I don't know.
Worthy.
Yeah, sure, I guess. I don't know. I feel like you have to be on some type of level, like a level of. So Flacco did it 1 year. I'm not going to give him he did it. He had a couple good years, and he had that one main postseason run where he really elevated his play. From then on, it hasn't been that good, and he went to the Jets. So obviously he's not in. But a guy like Roethlisberger, he won 2 titles. He's been to the playoffs. That team has been consistently there. Same with Brady, Manning. They were always in the conversation. I feel like Rivers was never really I don't know. He never got over that hump. And maybe that was the Brady Manning factor. But also, if you want to be a Super Bowl champion, you got to beat him. I don't know.
But about being a Super Bowl champion. So you're just hung up on the no rings thing. You just wanted him to get 1 ring.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that there's something missing there for Rivers. I think.
Oh, absolutely. I wish the Chargers were always my year. It was hey, if the Patriots don't win it this year, I hope the Chargers win it because I wanted to see him get his ring. He deserved one. Listen. And Michael again in the comment section brings up Eli belongs. Yeah, he does. Now people can disagree with that. And I think you could have the debate there, but hey, what the guy did in the postseason puts him there. Eli Manning, the regular season quarterback, ugh. Yeah. Eli Manning, postseason quarterback for those title runs, you can't argue with that. So if you're gonna only put a guy in because of his postseason, you have to allow the converse, which is to put a guy in and just not winning. It's not like he never made the playoffs. It'd be one thing if he was putting up numbers and not making the playoffs. It'd be dude, you never made it to the playoffs. You never even got into the dance. Charles Barkley didn't win a title, but at least he was his teams competed in the playoffs, right? He's a Hall of Fame NBA player. So I think
look, Rivers to me with some of those Chargers teams, he went 5-7 and never made a Super Bowl in the postseason. That's just not. That's under.
Yeah, but one of the we got to start breaking it down. Who did they play? I mean, off the top of my head, Brady in 2018, Brady in 2007, Brady in 2006. 2006 is the one that I really hold against them. That team was already like starting to get the flu heading out to San Diego. They're at home. LT was MVP. I mean, there's a whole number. If Marlon McCree just picks off Tom Brady and decides to just go to the ground instead of trying to like run back and let Troy Brown strip him, one of the greatest postseason plays in Patriot history. Yeah. Outside of game-winning Super Bowl plays, the Chargers win that game and they probably win a Super Bowl that year. You're gonna put that on Phillip Rivers? Like, I just think you have to be able to look at how those games broke down and who they played to get there. That 06 team, that's the one that's like a black mark. It's like you should have done more that year. 07, they beat the Colts. He tears his ACL, and then he goes out on one leg and at least puts up a fight against one of the greatest teams ever assembled. So,
I'm a big proponent of titles and scoreboard. I just don't know if you can say you have to look at particular games. Every dog has their day. Look at all these guys. Manning was a guy that was kind of a choking dog there for a while. He broke through and he got 2. Obviously, the defense carried him in 1 for the Denver Super Bowl, but he was a game manager at that point and he still broke through. I feel like Rivers, I don't know. I'm like, I think he's in, obviously, but in my Hall of Fame, my high-end Hall of Fame, he's on the bubble. That's all I'm saying.
Jason from the comments section through Facebook says, "I'm far more the expert you guys are, but Marino is Hall of Fame material as he was a classic captain as quarterback. The Dolphins were a better team all around because of Marino. Rivers could not make his team better consistently despite his positive numbers. Tomlinson as running back made the Chargers better, and I like Rivers." So, yeah, it's a nuance. It's a very nuanced debate. I don't think anybody will debate, will he be a Hall of Fame quarterback? Like you said, Christian, it'll be about, should he be? What do you want your Hall of Fame to be? I don't think by putting him in there, you like really diminish your Hall of Fame, right?
No.
So that's how I'd kind of look at it from that perspective. Because there's certainly guys that get put in. It's like, what are we doing here?
I also don't hate Phillip Rivers or anything like that. Like, I'm not just saying it to be like sour or anything. I like the guy. And overall, throughout his career, he's been a very good quarterback, if not a great quarterback. But not getting that ticket punch to the Super Bowl, not even making an appearance, that just seems like kind of an L to me. I don't know. I feel like I'm big on like all these guys. You have guys now, obviously it's different, but teams like the Ravens with Joe Flacco. Now that team was juiced up by Ray Lewis retiring at the end of that year. So there's like multiple
literally juiced
like
up.
That. Yeah.
The deer antler spray.
Deer antler, yeah. But Nick Foles, like these guys have Super Bowls and they're not Hall of Famers, obviously. But I just feel like, man, that one Super Bowl in Phillip Rivers' career makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It would cement him. This wouldn't be a conversation. We wouldn't have debated the last 20 minutes over this. So let's get into it. Let's pick. Let's return to the present, the here and now, and pick today's games. So first up is the Tampa Brady Buccaneers facing off against the Green Bay Packers up in Lambeau. I believe they had some snow showers this morning, and it's going to be clear and cold and breezy up there in Lambeau. Christian, who are you taking in this game and why?
I said the Packers were one of the hottest teams in the league, obviously, right? And I think it's their year. It just seems like it is, at least to get to the Super Bowl. Who knows if they're going to win it? But I'm going to pick the Buccaneers. We're going Bucs.
So
Tampa, Brady. I can never see. Here's my problem, right? I think it's the Packers' year, but there's just something inside me that's just like I can't bet against Brady in these type of games because the guy on paper has won so many that I'm just going to go with it. And I think he's been highly motivated throughout the year, and I think he just wants to get it.
So I looked at last week's game and I said bad Saints more than good Bucs. And I think the Bucs defense was able to take advantage of the fact that Breeze, whether it's just his lack of ability because of age or just injury, could not get the ball done. I mean, they didn't even attempt deep throws.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because they knew it was going to be woefully short and didn't want to risk turning it over. That defense, there was times they had like 9 guys within 10 yards of the line. I mean, they clearly were not even field threat, and there was guys running open. They weren't even like they were in trail technique on on Michael Thomas running a deep route. It's like with no safety. It's like clearly they didn't have faith in Brees going deep. You cannot do that against Aaron Rodgers. I think there's going to be much more for Rodgers to feast on in this game. We know there is, and he's going to be able to take advantage. Rodgers is going to be able to make way more throws than Brees was able to make.
Yeah, but is Rodgers going to take it? Is Rodgers going to take a 10-point lead and then do some stupid ass touchdown dance and lose the game after that?
Yeah, but that game was one of those weird games. Like that's like one of the wins that the Bucs hold up. It was like, oh, they beat a good team. That game was weird. Like Green Bay got up 10 points, and like the wheels fell off, and it was one of those games that made us question the Packers. Like this game, like they let it get away from them. Like it seemed like the Bucs scored a touchdown, and then they got like a turnover, and then it was tied 10-10, and then all the wind left the Packers, and the fight was gone.
To be fair, though, even
it was one of those games where just snow. I mean, guys are fumbling, passes are deflecting twice into the Buccaneers' hands.
Sure,
it's one of those fluky, like the games they just get away from you.
So we shouldn't count it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying I count it, but I'm saying I don't see that happening again. It's not like the Bucs overmatched the Packers. The Packers like decided to quit, which I can't see happening.
This is an interesting week for you because even when the Packers were getting hot, you said they were fraudulent. And you also say the Bucs are not good with their coaching and stuff. So I'm interested to see your pick here.
I'm picking Green. It's hard for me to pick against Tom Brady. If the Packers should win this game, the Packers should be able to score, and they should be able to their defense is good enough to be able to stop the run and make Brady have to throw the ball 50 times. And if you do that, I think the Packers have a great chance. But like last week, I don't care. I've seen Brady do it too often. If the Bucs are down 4 and Brady needs a touchdown at the end to go get the game, he's gonna go do it. Like I can't doubt that. Exactly. I've seen him do it with Austin Collie, who's like bubble wrapped. So like with a concussion helmet. Like I've seen him do it with far less. I just think that the Green Bay should win this game. I'm rooting for them to win, and they should win. They should win, and so I can't. It's just how I feel the game's gonna go. I think Aaron Rodgers should have a big day. I don't know what more. If they try to really prevent like the deep ball with Adams and stuff, then a whole bunch of other stuff is gonna open up, and Rodgers is gonna be able to get away from the rush. I mean, Brees played really bad last week. I mean, there was times where he was like, he'd run outside the pocket and he's like throwing it. It's like, this is not your game, dude. At least not anymore. Maybe if you're throwing it the flat, not 20 yards down the field, not 42, chucking it to other people. So I'm picking Green Bay because I as much as I've said I thought they were fraudulent, I thought the game that would be exposed was against the Rams, and they ended up, that changed for me last week. So I'm picking Green Bay.
All right.
Just because if Brady's in the Super Bowl, that's a lose-lose for me. I don't know what to root for. I don't want him. As a fan of Brady, I want him to win, because if he loses, people will say, "Oh, he's not the greatest. He lost," and I'll just hate people having that sort of ammunition. But then also, if he wins, it's like he won one not with the Patriots, and it's like in the first. I've said this whole thing, like I don't want him to get it year one. It'd be like, ugh. Especially like with Gronk. Now, no AB this weekend. That's the other thing. Antonio Brown's not playing. Not that he was some big factor anyways, but that's just another guy to account for. Like that guy getting a title, like, so I there's more to root against the Buccaneers. So matchup wise and also just emotionally, I'm picking the Packers. So
fair enough.
That's what I'm doing. The late game today is the Buffalo Bills running it back to 1993 to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the. I saw a really crazy stat. It's like every 27 years this happens. They played in like 60 something, and then 93, and then now, which is kind of odd. cool thing too, the last time that Bills Chiefs AFC Championship game, that was like one of Montana's. That was like his last hurrah. He took that Chiefs team to the conference championship, and then he got like knocked the F out in that game. So I'll let you go ahead. I've been rambling, so you go ahead.
Okay.
Who and why? Who and why? Bills Chiefs.
I like the Bills, but again, I'm just gonna go with my gut here and say the Chiefs. Now, the big question mark is obviously Mahomes and how what percentage he's at health wise. That's a big key in this game. If his foot and concussion problems, appear to pop up, the Bills could have a day here and they could break through. But that being said, I'm not gonna pick against Patrick Mahomes just because. I mean, look, the guy's so young. He broke through last year and came back and won the title. And I just feel like, how many times has Patrick Mahomes been down double digits here, come back and won by double digits? I don't know. I just feel like it's happened against the Titans. It happens against Texans. I mean, it's just like the guy never he's never out of it. So I can't pick against the Chiefs. It would be nice to see the Bills win for storyline. And for the show, it'd be kind of compelling. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go against Pat Mahomes. So I'm going to go Chiefs and Mahomes Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm. This is kind of the same, or it's a little bit different than the Packers pick. I am rooting for the Bills.
Right.
I would love the story. Michael said, "Gotta go with Brady versus Bills." That would be terrifying. Like for Bills fans. Oh God, how just emotionally distraught they'll be. Like, we made the Super Bowl and we're playing Tom Brady.
You want
after everything, he's gone. We win the AFC East. Yes, it's our year, and we're playing Brady in the Super Bowl.
Imagine this. This is the type of loss that you can't come back from. Imagine you get to the Super Bowl if you're the Bills. Brady's on the other side as opposed to in your division, and he beats you again. Oof, that's tough.
Yeah. That, like I said, Aaron Rodgers has the most to gain. Josh Allen has the most to lose.
Yeah.
In this postseason now. Yeah. Depending on how things go. Crazy stat for this game. So this is Aaron Rodgers' first ever home NFC Championship game. That's insane. This is Mahomes' third. In his third, 3 straight home conference title games for Patrick Mahomes. I saw he's been officially diagnosed with turf toe. That's a tough injury.
It is.
That does not get better in a week. That does not get better in 2 weeks. That gets better with months of rehab because it just is recurrent. And you feel like you're fine, and then you plant your foot to run, and it hurts like hell.
Yeah.
We've seen guys get really slowed down. I mean, look at Antonio Gates, right? Kind of like when he was still in his prime, like 2007 to like 2011, he got turf toe, and he became a shell of himself.
Same guy, yeah.
So that is going to impact this game dramatically. The concussion thing, I saw the interesting things where it's like people think he didn't even have a concussion, that like he had like a compressed artery, and like that he actually just blacked out, which was interesting, crazy. Freakish type things.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know why, if you thought the guy had turf toe, because they probably would know that on the sideline right away, or at least to be able to guess. Hey, Andy, it looks like you may have done something to his big toe. Could be turf toe. Could be a joint thing. I don't know what it is, but how are you feeling, Pat? Oh, man, it really hurts when I plant my foot, but, I could still throw. I could still, if I move around if I have to. All right, 4th down. What are we calling here? Sprint option right.
Yeah. Good job.
So I worry about, because again, before he got knocked out of that game, he was really laboring on the field. Now, he could still make the throws. Buffalo's going to be able to get pressure in this game.
They should be able to.
They should be able to get pressure. I think Mahomes being hobbled makes this a much closer game than it would be otherwise. I just think, though, if Mahomes can get through the whole game with the weapons they have, they'll find a way to win. But it's going to be closer. And Buffalo will have a chance to win this game. I don't know if it's going to be they'll have a chance to get the tie game, or they'll actually have the ball. I can't see Kansas City running away with this one, barring the freakish amount of turnovers and the way games can unfold if the Bills just aren't ready for this moment. But I just think on paper, this should be a great game. I think Kansas City holds on something like 24-20 because Mahomes, that turf toe injury, you don't think it's just your big toe. No, that, especially for a quarterback, plant foot too. I mean, he's going to step back and step into that. That's going to be tough. So we'll see. As long as Mahomes starts and finishes the game, I'm picking the Chiefs.
All right, wow. I'm kind of surprised. I figured you would pick the Bills, but hey, you know what?
No Kashi today, just coffee.
I'll tell you though, this year, as a Patriots fan, not having the Pats in it is it's stress free, right? We're living stress free, and also this is kind of one of the most compelling postseasons we've had in a while. I mean, think about the Bills; they've never been there, so now you got this up and coming team, and Josh Allen's trying to get to that next step and be this elite guy against Mahomes. And then on the other side, in the NFC, for the first time ever, you got Brady or Rodgers. I mean, it's just like, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to a conversation we had. I don't know if we had it on air or off air, but how they really need to look at. I mean, the NFL wants to they're adding the 17th game. Honestly, just add 18. Add 2. Because you know what you can do? You can add in another non-conference game, and you can ensure more of these quarterback matchups year in and year out.
Yeah.
Like, this will be only, the third time Brady and Rodgers will have played each other, right?
Like that, yeah. Third or fourth, maybe, yeah.
No, they played fourth. It'll be the fourth because they played this year in the regular season.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But since Brady and Rodgers have been in the league, I mean, Brady was drafted in 2000, Rodgers 2005. Now, I know Rodgers didn't start until 2008. But still, the Packers and the Patriots only played each other 3 times in that span.
Right.
With both of those guys starting. And one of them Rodgers was hurt for, so he didn't play. It was the Matt Flynn game in 2010. That was the Dan Connolly kickoff return.
Right. Yeah.
So you want more of these. I mean, have Mahomes and Rodgers played each other yet? Will the Super Bowl be the first time they play each other?
Good question.
Like, these matchups are the matchups you want. And I guess it's what makes a Super Bowl exciting. Like, hey, they're finally playing each other. But if you add that 2 extra games, now I know the season's long, and especially the way this season played out with COVID and everything, there'll be a lot of debate over adding that extra game. But hey, if you say no preseason games, we'll add 2 extra games, I think guys would get on board with that.
Oh, yeah.
And it would allow you to keep some symmetry with your scheduling. Scheduling 17 games way harder to do than scheduling 18. And you'd get more of these compelling matchups. So, Christian, I wanted you're catching some fire. This is through email, so you can always you can catch us when we're broadcasting live, as we do starting at 11, usually 11:01 on Sundays, through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. You can drop comments in the comment sections, but you can always email the show during the show while we're live or throughout the week. The360sportshow@gmail.com. And we'll get to those in our mailbag segment, or where appropriate. This comes from Corrine. She said, Christian's comments that you need a championship to get into the Hall of Fame, see below. She said, P.S. Philip Rivers fan here. This is a list of players in the NFL Hall of Fame without.
That's not what I said.
Okay. Well, this is players in the NFL Hall of Fame without Super Bowls. Barry Sanders, Deacon Jones, Dick Butkus, Gale Sayers, Earl Campbell, OJ, and it just says ... Eric Dickerson, LaDainian Tomlinson. So these are guys with no Super Bowls.
That's way different. That's not the quarterback position. That's what we were talking about. You know what I mean? Like, the quarterback position in the NFL is well, actually, not even just in the NFL. The quarterback is probably, arguably the most position in sports. Like, that guy is important to his team, as we've seen over the years. Look who we're talking about today: Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers.
So LaDainian Tomlinson can get in, but Philip Rivers shouldn't. Not in Hall of Fame real world. Christian's Hall of Fame. The Christian Lauber pantheon of greatness here.
Yeah, it's a different position. Like I said, I mean, I think you can't just say because a defensive end never won a Super Bowl, but he got 50,000 sacks, he shouldn't be in. He should definitely be in. Like, it's completely different. It's for a quarterback. I
think he might be from another planet.
Yeah.
50,000 sacks.
You know what I mean. But, point still stands. The quarterback position in the NFL is of the utmost importance. When you talk about LT, he's one of the best of all time. And I'm not saying Rivers is not one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He's probably in the conversation there. I just feel like in terms of Hall of Fame status, I think he's on the bubble and he gets in, but he's not like these other guys that have punched their ticket.
Okay, that's true. Different.
Barry Sanders, like
different.
Yeah, Barry Sanders, obviously, but it's a different position. Like you look at the quarterback. Quarterback is like really the if you don't have a quarterback, how many chances are you going to get at a Super Bowl?
There's one guy I wanna check on. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame or not. Is Warren Moon in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
Yes, 2006. Oh, wow. This is interesting. He was elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006, becoming both the first Canadian Football Hall of Fame player, first undrafted quarterback, and first African-American quarterback honored. Huh. Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. Real quick, though, let me just finish up this point, okay? I did not say that you need a title to get into the Hall of Fame, right? And this is not, obviously, everybody gets in the Hall of Fame now. You like lose games now, you get a trophy. That's just how it works. But for Phillip Rivers, he is in the conversation with the other guys, but I'm putting him at the end of the list. I mean, like he doesn't have that kind of, as a quarterback in the NFL, you are at the helm of everything. Like all these guys, Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, Roethlisberger, these guys all have them. Mahomes, they all have them. They all have that one little title. I mean, Manning should have won more, right? But does that mean he's not in the Hall of Fame? No, because of how good he was over a span of years, and he has two. For Rivers, to me, that not having a title just puts him on the bubble for me. That's all. As a quarterback, obviously other positions are going to get in different ways because they're not as important. I mean, look, running back is not as important as quarterback. So do you need a title to get in? Obviously not. We know that. But for me, in terms of those guys in the conversation to get into the Hall of Fame, like you're talking about Rivers and you're putting up with Peyton Manning, Breeze, Brady, Rodgers, all these guys. He's at the tail end there, and he's on the bubble without that title. If he had one, he's obviously in because of consistency in the stats as well. But 5-7 in the postseason, never kind of punched a ticket to the Super Bowl and won one. That to me just kind of puts him on the edge. And I think when you look at pro sports, I'll say this again because I think it's important. The quarterback is arguably the most important position in all of sports, not just like you look at the NBA, there's no real quarterback there that like, okay, if you have a point guard, you're going to win a title. It's not how it works. In the NFL, if you have a quarterback, you're in the conversation.
So here's an interesting thing because when we were talking about the Marino comparisons, people said, well, Marino changed the game, right? Becoming the type of passer he was in that era. Never won a ring. So to be, if you want to say, well, how do you become a Hall of Fame quarterback without championships? And obviously the rules nowadays, guys are going to put up numbers no matter what. So how do you change the game? I think of a guy like Lamar Jackson, right, is kind of changing the game. Mahomes to a degree, I mean, more of these guys that Josh Allen's, these guys who can actually run and throw and do everything. Real true dual threat quarterbacks. But let's go with the extreme, which is Lamar Jackson, who is just a freak. I mean, people talk about how you can't even practice defending him because you don't have anybody that can replicate what he does on a field. If Lamar Jackson just continues to do what he's doing and just has this great career, wins 10 plus games a year, gets to a couple conference title games, has a couple of upset wins here and there, but never gets to or wins a Super Bowl. But is Lamar Jackson his whole career? Human joystick all over the field. Completely changed, and in the process helps pave the way for future quarterbacks in his mold. Is he a Hall of Fame worthy quarterback if he doesn't have a championship, but does those things?
I think he's on the bubble.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just asking the question. I don't have the answer, but I think that's a guy who jumps to mind that's like playing right now who could potentially be in that same
maybe it's not
type
so
of
much
situation.
Is he a Hall of Famer or not? Where does he lie on the spectrum in the Hall of Fame? To me, Rivers is he's obviously going to get there, right? But is he? Maybe there's got to be different, echelons. In my mind, Rivers is not the same guy as Breeze, and Rodgers and all these guys because he put up numbers in the regular season. I think what gets you over the top is having a title. Championships is really just that is
So
at
you
the
want you would
value.
prefer? I'm just thinking out loud here. Some sort of like tiered Hall of Fame. So there's Hall of Fame, and then there's the grand throne room where like only the pantheon of the greatest of the greatest of the greats get to be within the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because I think, look, the Hall of Fame is supposed to be this like, and obviously it's not really anymore because a lot of people get in that maybe shouldn't. We'd see it all the time in baseball, obviously, but just in general, the Hall of Fame should be kind of this shrine of the all-timers, right? You're talking Montana, Brady, these in terms of quarterbacks now, those guys, those upper echelon guys. So maybe it's not so much as Rivers shouldn't get in the Hall of Fame as he's in the Hall of Fame, obviously. But to me, if you ask me in his era, is he above the other guys? I'd say no. I just like, I don't know how you could say otherwise. Like he's not in the conversation with, Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, like those.
You know what's going to anger you someday, Christian? Hopefully we're still doing the 360 Sports Show together so that we can...
What doesn't anger me? That's the real question.
What's going to anger you, whether you're doing the show or not, I know I'll get your reaction of this, but it'll be great to have it on air whenever it happens, the day Matt Ryan is elected to the Hall of Fame, because it's coming.
See, he'll
be nominated to the Hall of Fame. Probably never going to win a ring, but he has an MVP season. He will put up all these numbers. A likable guy. He has no enemies in the media. So
here's my thing. Here's the last point I'll make. And for me, right? For me personally, this is just my personal view. Guys like Rivers will get in. To me, I feel like a guy like Eli to me gets in because of his postseason performance. So did he have all the stats that his brother did? Did he have all, the other stuff, the accolades? Not really, but also when he was in the postseason, he's the same as Peyton Manning. He has 2 titles. When you put numbers on it, he's obviously he elevated himself to be better than Peyton Manning when he got there. It was a struggle to get there over his career, but a guy like that, to me, I feel like maybe this is just a personal thing for me, but I feel like the playoffs, crunch time, and Super Bowls, it's the same in any sport for me. You're talking basketball or anything like that. The postseason and titles are very important, and that is what gets you over the top.
Yeah. So,
all right, I'm done.
No, you're not. You could go forever. So that's all the analysis for the most part of the games and of the players. I did want to get into an interesting story, and some of this other stuff we're gonna probably fly through the rest of this stuff. But some last football notes. I know this is probably pure because of the NFL. I don't know what their motivations are, if it's genuine or if it's just public relations, but I think it's a great thing. They're giving out 7,800 free tickets to the Super Bowl for healthcare workers.
Cool story, yeah.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great. It's totally just a PR stunt by the NFL because they're like, let's do this thing because it'll make us look good, not because it's a nice. They should just give as many tickets, as they can out. I wish it should be more, But I'm not gonna knock them for doing a good thing. So we knock them for doing as many dumb, idiotic, irrational things. I will have to give them credit, even though I feel like it's not that hard of a thing to have done. No. They didn't really go out on some limb here. This doesn't undo all of the bad things they've done, but it's a good thing. I think it's a great story. It'll be awesome for those people. Pretty much what will have been now, by the time the Super Bowl rolls around, 11 months of hell to go to the Super Bowl for free. That'll be amazing for those people.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the front lot. Like, you talk about guys that need a day off. Oof, I think they should be first in line, honestly. I don't know at this point. Like, how long are we into this thing now? Almost 12 months now? It's just, like, ridiculous. So, definitely a cool story. Obviously, I agree with you. It doesn't just, like, make the NFL this all-being and... amazing job. Wow, great job. But I think it's a good story, and I think it'll be good for it's good to have fans anyway, but to allow this is it's a good story. It's cool.
Yeah. And part of that is that there's going to be 22,000 fans in attendance of this game.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen any details of protocol yet. I know all the healthcare workers will be vaccinated healthcare workers.
Right.
That was like part of that. I don't know what the deal will be for fans getting in. I think the Super Bowl is probably going to be much tighter than probably Raymond James Stadium was during the year. So I imagine, who knows, maybe is vaccination required? I don't know. Are they going to have to test you day of game? Like you're going to have to like come and like, hey, we're testing you the night before in your hotel and the morning of, and the minute you walk through the stadium. I don't know what the rules will be. I mean, the Super Bowl already is a locked down, pretty secured location.
Yeah.
Not a pandemic withstanding. So
obviously, I think masks will be required. You'll be outside. So here's what we know. There are ways to kind of combat the virus, and it's very common sense things that you can do, like get tested, make sure you don't have it. Obviously, that's number one. Get vaccinated if you have the opportunity, but then like wear your mask, stay outside, and socially distance. So, these stadiums are huge. There's ways to do it. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it. But I think, it's in the person themselves to just realize, okay, we're going to the game. It's not the usual. We're going to be sitting next to someone and coughing on each other, drinking beer, spilling beer everywhere. It's going to be a different environment, but I think it's good to have fans in the building. I'll tell you that. It's kind of refreshing because it's been a while.
Well, also, if the Bucs get there, they'll be at home. Imagine being the first team to play in your home stadium for Super Bowl. There was like no fans.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that actually would have been poetic. If it was Brady, I would have laughed. I would have enjoyed that. But hey, there will be 22,000 people. The Super Bowl is always weird though with the crowd, anyways. I mean, it's not going to be all Bucs fans. Even if they were allowed to have a full stadium, the Super Bowl crowd is always a mixed bag. So the next story kind of revolves around head coaching in the NFL. There's some more hirings this week, but the big one that stands out to me, Christian, maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't think I am. What are your thoughts on Dan Campbell, PC principal himself, being hired by the Detroit Lions to be their head coach? And before you say anything, I'm going to read to you a direct quote from Dan Campbell's introductory press conference. Asked about
I've heard this one.
Why he wanted this job and what he was going to bring to the Lions. This is what he said. We're going to kick you in the teeth. And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. What?
And if you read the quote in full, he keeps saying the same thing over. He says, and you're going to
he keeps going. He's
bite the other kneecap off.
Yeah, he's like the Black Knight in Monty Python. No arms, no legs, biting at your kneecaps. He just seems like a guy that's like, hey, this would be if you're a high school coach. The guys get all fired up. Even if you're a college coach, we're gonna go kill him. We're gonna go. Yeah, let's go. The NFL, that don't fly. Like, it's great. It sounds cool. Oh, listen to this guy. Throwback old school. Oh, I'm gonna take these analytics and I'm gonna eat them. Like, great. Are you gonna be able to game plan? Like,
yeah. Well, here's where I'll start.
0-16, calling it now.
Yeah, here's where I'll start. Right? Has Dan Campbell been in conversations to be head coaches anywhere else? Because I have not heard this guy's name.
Yeah, I didn't know he was still in the league.
Yeah. So I'm going to start there and say, what are we doing, Lions? You're stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But also, in terms of Dan, like we were talking about Hall of Fame for quarterbacks, right? If you talk about Hall of Fame for tool bags, Dan Campbell is the CEO, president, and owner of Hall of Fame tool bags. The guy is just
tool bag manufacturing.
What a hardo this guy is. I thought Joe Judge was bad in his like, we're going to run over people. We're going to be the New York Giants. This is New York. And then this guy comes in and is just like, give me the microphone. I'll take it from here.
Oh, my beer.
Oh, my God. What a tool this guy is. And to be honest with you, again, I'll say it again. I didn't even know this guy was vying for head coaching jobs.
I didn't know he was even in the NFL. He was for people who might not recall, when, oh, God, what was his name? I can't remember who got fired, but he was Joe Philbin got fired in Miami. This is in 2015. Yeah. And he took over as the interim head coach for the Dolphins. And that week, he spouted all the things we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And they went out and they won some game on Sunday. And he was beating his chest afterwards. And he was like saying, we're playing. They were like asking about playing the Patriots on Thursday. He's like, Oh, good. We're not going to sleep this week. All these things like that. They're all. And guess what happened? They went out and got run over like 35-9.
It's invaluable, man. Remember that one in the locker room?
Yeah. So like,
God, what a tool.
It works for like maybe one game, that type of attitude, and then you got to go out there and win. Guess what? Talk about like wanting to like, hey, maybe this is what the Lions need. He's the opposite of Patricia. He's not this like kind of like, I'm going to try and be Bill Belichick and be reserved and like be combative. Like, I'm just going to be right in your face and loud, total throwback NFL coaching and toughness and maybe that's what that franchise needs. But guess what? He was a member of the 08 Lions that went 0-16. That's not exactly bringing in good omens.
No.
And guess what? Talk about like, I didn't know he was still in the league. Want to know who his last position was? This is like The Office, like Dunder Mifflin type stuff. He was like the assistant to the head coach. He wasn't assistant head coach. He was assistant to the head coach. Yep. He was assistant to Sean Payton on the Saints, and he was their tight ends coach. He didn't teach Jared Cook much about ball security.
Yeah, this is my other thing. Can the guy even coach?
Tight ends coach to head coach of the Lions? What?
Random. I mean, it is the Lions after all, but at the same time, I'm just like, what are we doing here? There's so many guys. There's still so many guys out there that can coach.
No, that's it.
Obviously is
that's
the number
what
one guy.
compounds it. Is Eric Bieniemy is on the street, and McDaniels. I don't know. I think he maybe kind of ruined things for himself, maybe with the whole Colts thing. But Eric Bieniemy, that's the one that just is thrown in my face. Like, I just don't get it. How do you not even consider?
But McDaniel's not getting an interview, but Dan Campbell getting the job. That's offensive, honestly.
Well, that's an indictment on Josh and what maybe how he's
same thing.
How he's ruined himself. I mean, Josh had his chance. He could have been the head coach of the Colts. Like, I think that Josh could. It says more about what maybe Josh has done to himself than about who he like his capabilities.
I think once the Lions hired Dan Campbell, it says more about the Lions.
Well, it's true. But Bieniemy not getting, and like the Texans like kind of half-heartedly like extending him an interview at like the last minute. I don't get it. That guy, and I don't want to make it a racial issue, but how does something just not seem right when something's not right? Something is not right when this guy, when you have a league that's 69% African American, and that number's been steadily increasing, and just diverse, non-white, right? And this guy is overly qualified to the point where Andy Reid is like kind of like shocked. He's like, I kind of like have been like preparing for you to leave, but you haven't left yet. Like, you should have been gone. And some people have referenced like, oh, well, he doesn't call the plays. Guess what? Doug Peterson was part of their offensive staff. He didn't call the plays. That didn't stop Philly from hiring him. Same with Sean Nagy. He was with Andy Reid. He didn't always call the plays. That didn't stop. This guy, like Patrick Mahomes, has like lauded this guy as being like the voice in his ear, the one who's helped him become Pat Mahomes. And you don't want to hire that guy or even give that guy a look? And he's African American? How are we not going to go there? It's unavoidable. And I don't know if that's the reason, but I haven't been given a good reason why he shouldn't be interviewed, to your point. It's startling and striking, and it's a travesty. And he will, hopefully, get a head coaching job sometime soon, next year, maybe. But the fact that he doesn't right now, and didn't last year, is startling and worrisome. And I don't know how you fix it. You have the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule kind of assumes bias. It assumes racism. Hey, you have to interview an African American. It's unfortunate that's a situation that you're in. Yeah. So hopefully there's a time where that rule can be removed because it's not an issue. It seems like these types of things are still an issue. So hopefully he gets interviews because he should, and he should be hired. But for now, nobody's given me a good reason why he shouldn't be a head coach. And the fact that he's not is only going to lead us down these other roads of wondering why, especially when he's a man of color.
Especially when you look at the landscape. That's the real problem, right? If you ask me Bieniemy or Dan Campbell, that's not even close. Literally not even close. So therein lies the problem. I don't know what the Lions are. Maybe the Lions are just stupid. I have no idea. But they haven't won in a long time for a reason. So maybe that's just it. But Bieniemy will get his opportunity here, I would hope, at some point. And obviously, he's in conversations with the Texans, I believe. Or that is the rumor anyway, that the Texans have shown interest. Whatever that means, I don't know. But he will get an opportunity, I would assume here, because you just look at the track record, and even if he's not calling plays, I don't care about that. Like, the guy should get the opportunity without a doubt, especially over guys that absolutely blow like Dan Campbell.
Well, just look, we mentioned Joe Judge, who proved this year that he was a good coach. I think he's a good head coach, right?
I won't go that far.
But no, he's a special teams coach.
Right.
Who got? Yeah. I mean, John Harbaugh was a special teams coach. Mike Tomlin was defense/special teams. I mean, these guys, just because he's the offensive coordinator, but Andy Reid calls most of the plays. That's why you're not gonna. Who do you think's drawing up the plays? Who do you think? He's also the one. Andy Reid calls the play, but guess who's talking to Pat Mahomes and relaying that information and giving him tidbits before every play? It's Eric Bieniemy. You talk to anybody in that organization, and it's Eric Bieniemy, Eric Bieniemy, Eric Bieniemy. It doesn't make any sense, like you said. And you look at the other guys who are getting hired, it just is baffling. You bring up, we brought up quickly McDaniels, Josh McDaniels. Obviously, he's going to be coming back for another year as offensive coordinator for the Patriots. One has to wonder what his prospects are to be a head coach. He had taken his time looking for another job, then came around and had that opportunity with the Colts, had basically all but signed, and then reneges. And now has kind of been looking the last couple of years again and hasn't even gotten a look. I think he's rubbed people the wrong way. I think there could be a crap team that will take him, but I think there's two jobs that are most appealing to him and that I think he'd be willing to wait on, and I think that would take him. The first being the most obvious, which is the New England Patriots. He just stays. He's still young. He waits Bill out, and he just slides in, and you retain continuity within that organization and things. The other, which interests me, which could be coming up next year, the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think Mike McCarthy's going to last the year.
Good one, yeah.
And Dak, he'll be back, maybe not. Say he doesn't come back, and now you have Dak rested for a year. You'll have a high draft pick. You have a chance to fire the coach, turn some things over, bring in a new guy. Josh McDaniels, good with quarterbacks. I mean, he's gotten the most out of pretty much every quarterback he's had to deal with. Look what he had in Cam Newton this year, and he still was able to figure out. They remained somewhat competitive given what we know what Cam Newton's limitations were.
Yeah.
And we've seen him do it before with guys like Castle and Garoppolo, and obviously with Brady, Brissett too. So if you want to bring in a guy to really help Dak Prescott even get better, if not remain consistent, the Dallas Cowboys, I think, would be a very attractive option for Josh McDaniels. I don't know your thoughts on anywhere else.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I thought the Chargers would be a good one. Here's the problem with Josh. I think it's part and parcel with what you're saying about Indy and him not going to that job, but the opportunity. Supposedly he wants more control than just head coach. So that also could be a deterrent for teams. You're just looking at what he's done. It's not like he's had this big experience where, he's doing what Belichick is doing, drafting all the guys and working with the quarterbacks at the same time as calling plays and all this stuff. So putting him in a head coaching role and giving him GM capabilities or some other, type of power within the organization, I feel like that could be partly deterring for a team. Just based on track record, I mean, it's not like he went somewhere and was just like this stud head coach. So I think that's part of it as well. But locations, I mean, Dallas is a good one. Like I said, I thought the Chargers would be a good opportunity for him with, Herbert, the young quarterback there.
Yeah.
And then Philly was another one. But obviously that has gone by the wayside as well. So I don't know what Josh is looking for. Maybe he just waits it out here and, assumes the role of a couple different things, including head coach, because I think that's what he wants. I don't know if I really don't know what his plans are at this point. But if he's looking for something higher end than just head coach, you're going to keep looking a while. I don't know if anybody's going to give him just the absolute key to the city in terms of, you can draft, you can scout, you can do all this stuff like a Bill Belichick or someone like that. I don't think he's there yet.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of one move we'll discuss, and then another we'll tease for a deeper later conversation. Quarterback moves. The tease is Deshaun Watson is probably going to be on the move. We don't know to where. Evidently, now the Dolphins were one team that's listed. The Jets, too?
Yeah.
I guess that report came out today, which, again, if the Jaguars take, there'll be debate, and we'll have this discussion with Brad Kelly when we get him back on the program to start talking about the NFL draft. And once some of these moves start to crystallize, but just as a food for thought, say the Jaguars take Justin Fields because Urban Meyer wants to draft his guy. Then the Jets go out and trade for Deshaun Watson. I can't imagine they're going to, well, maybe they do trade the number 2 pick as part of that.
Yeah.
So now are the Texans taking Trevor Lawrence with number 2? I guess that's a possibility.
Oh, well, yeah.
But what if the Jets want to hold on to number 2 and instead they trade a whole bundle of these other first round picks they got from the Seahawks instead? They won't be taking Trevor Lawrence number 2. Who do they take? And now who's picking number 3? Like, the draft board in all these scenarios could get kind of totally thrown all out of whack with the Watson stuff, which will be interesting. But the other guy I wanted to mention was Matt Stafford, who we all kind of assumed might be on the move, and that's kind of officially been said. Obviously, there'll be a lot of teams interested, vying for his services. I know what I'm rooting for, and I've been saying this since about October. Bring him to New England. I would trade the 15th pick and a second round. I would give them a first, a second. Heck, throw in the third that you're going to get as a comp pick from trading Brady. Do it. Or from letting Brady go. Do it. That guy has still got a lot left in the tank. He's very good. Very good. That is not a bridge. This is not like, oh, we're bringing in Alex Smith while we wait and develop some guy. That is, we're getting a quarterback for the next 4 or 5 years to actually compete. I love Matt Stafford. I would love to see him be in a better organization. Mm-hmm. I wonder, though, Matt Patricia now is back as like some sort of defensive assistant with the Patriots now. Does that help or hurt? It'll help the Patriots' assessment of him because they'll have some more inside knowledge. But as far as Patricia's willingness to come, does he want to see Matt Patricia walking the hallways again?
Hell no. No way. After his lack of success, no way. But I would take Stafford. I don't know if I'm giving up the 15th, especially if you're trying to go up and get a guy that will come in and potentially be the next guy in like a year or two. If you like a guy, that is like,
yeah,
you're not just trading up just to get some random guy that you don't even like. But if there's a guy in the top of the draft that you like and you can move up and get him, then do that. I like Stafford. I think Stafford would be tremendous for the Indianapolis Colts. That is a spot that's
another
opened
one
up.
Too.
And they have a roster that is built to win. Right now, they have some talented young guys, and
he wouldn't have to move that far.
Game. Yeah, exactly. And they have a running game and some assets on the outside, wide receiver wise. So that is kind of like a secondary location. If he's not coming here, I'd like to see him go to Indy because I think that would give him a good shot in the AFC to kind of compete, especially with their roster.
Yeah, there's going to be competition for his services no matter what. If you're the Patriots, you talked about 15. Do they draft a guy there, or do you? I think it'd be a little high for him, but say the Patriots end up moving back, right? Hey, we'll pick him an extra second round pick. We move back to like the 20s, something like that. Would you rather have Matt Stafford or Mac Jones?
Stafford, without question.
Because I think the Mac Joneses of the world are who will be available for the Patriots to draft. And like you said, you need the quarterback. I'd be willing to give up that first round pick in a package to go get Matt Stafford. It'll have to take that. That's what it will take. Minimum. That pick, their first round pick would have to be in play at minimum. So if the Patriots are going to go get him, you'd imagine it would be. Yeah. Who knows? Sometimes we always say, like, this guy's worth a first and a second, and he gets traded for 2 fifths. And it's like,
Gilmore. Get rid of Gilmore, get Stafford.
What? Hey, that.
It's not all in the realm of possibility.
Call up Dan Campbell. Wait, wait. Who's the most Dan Campbell? This will be our research for the week. And maybe listening audience, if you want to chime in the comment section or email the 360 Sports Show at gmail.com or hit us up through Instagram, Twitter, whatever throughout the show. Who's the most Dan Campbell player on the Patriots? Find that guy, and we'll trade him for Matt Stafford. Dan Campbell. Who would Dan Campbell want immediately? Who's the most Dan Campbell player on the Patriots? That's what we need answers to.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta.
Danny Vitale, the fullback that didn't play
Yeah.
this year, the guy who did like 9,000 push-ups. That's a
might be the
Dan
guy.
Campbell player.
Yeah, that's the guy that would bite your kneecap off. You know it.
Yeah. Who on the Patriots is willing to bite off kneecaps?
Yeah, let's
Trade him for Stafford.
Hold the roster right now. We'll see.
Yeah. So, anyways, that'll do it. A lot of football talk, like we said here today, to pick through everything. So, if you had any further thoughts, questions, or comments on the football discussion, you can drop it in the comment section while we're still live. We do put out the show as a podcast as well through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. And you can do that through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. That way you can take the show on the go or listen after we're live. And if you email the show or send us messages throughout the week, we'll always get to those in our mailbag segment at the end of the program. So we're going to move along to some quick other news. Last night, Conor McGregor made his return to the octagon. Not good for Conor. I mean, looked rusty for sure, and thoroughly, I'd say, handled. The question becomes now, do you think he tries to come back, like actually come back, and this was just like, this was the measuring stick, and now I know what I got to do to get back? Or does he know, if I have a couple more of these, it tarnishes my legacy. I'll just let this sit here, and I maybe go the celebrity fighting route at this point. What do you think's the direction here for Conor McGregor? Lost in TKO, by the way, round 2 knockout.
I mean, so just in terms of the fight itself, I mean, really what put him in a bad position was the leg kicks from Poirier. But I mean, overall, I thought Conor had a good round 1, and then the round 2, obviously, he got picked apart there a little bit. He's even said it, the leg kicks made me uncomfortable. I couldn't get comfortable in there, and then, I mean, Poirier just dominated him. But overall, just hearing what Conor had to say, he's not one to, talk crap after a loss. So he owns it, which is good. But also, I think after this one, I think he's probably going to put some work in here and get back to it. That would be my guess anyway, because there's potential now. I mean, if he had won last night, it was him and Khabib maybe.
Which I'd love to see.
Yeah, it would be good to see. But now at this point, I think you're looking at you probably have to get another lower down fight maybe, and then maybe a Poirier 3, and then maybe Khabib, something like that. Depends on what Khabib wants to do. He was talking crap after the fight on Twitter. Luckily the guy is one of the best fighters in the world. But in terms of that, that I feel like has gone by the wayside a little bit now, unless he really wants to come back and fight McGregor.
Well, isn't he out? Like, because the last...
Yeah, he retired, yeah.
Because that whole thing went down last time, I mean, like, his like trainers like fled the country, like like that was a mess.
He's met with Dana White since, and he could come back if he wanted. Supposedly, I guess his dad, I don't know if it was COVID-19 complications or what, but his dad passed away. And he told his mom he wasn't going to fight anymore or something like that. They had some agreement, and obviously I believe he's Russian, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't know,
but like he's very spiritual and everything like that. So he could come back. It's just a matter of if he wants to. I bet the money talks, and maybe he could get one more fight with McGregor because that would draw something. But at this point now, I mean, McGregor's got to put work in here and get back to it. Yeah. He even said, like, you'll get punished if you step out here for like 2 years at a time, which he did. Like, this is why I don't think anybody should be surprised at the result. Like, the guy hasn't fought in so long, and you can have all the camps you want until you get in the octagon or boxing ring or you name it, and you're putting in work, every few months. This is what happens. I mean, it's just. I feel like that's pretty standard. I don't know. Yeah.
Again, kind of compare it to what we saw happen with Nate Robinson, right? In the celebrity thing. And it's where Snoop Dogg said, listen, this is why you don't play boxing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is what happens. Kind of the same thing. I miss Snoop. I would have loved to have Snoop on the call last night.
He's the best. Yeah.
I agree. I think I think a more rational person would say, oof, man, like I've had a good career, age, other things. I don't want to ruin maybe what I've done. Maybe I should just step away and not let more of this pile up or risk more of it piling up. McGregor's he's not a rational guy and he's too prideful. And so, yeah, I think he'll definitely be back. What the results of that will be, it'll depend on who he fights. Is he going to fight a couple of these lower card, easier fights to kind of get some wind back under his sails, and then they'll pump up another Poirier fight or Habib. We'll see. I did love the memes from last night. This is just the thing now. Something happens, and I'll be watching an event or something. I'll be like watching it, and as soon as as soon as they cut to Bernie Sanders during the inauguration, and they showed it, I was like, this is going to be a meme. I knew it. 100%. Immediately now, like meme. And so this was like one of my favorites from last night. Netflix, are you still watching? Lights out. Yeah. So the McGregor memes from last night are great. That's what also makes it tough. I mean, back in the day, right? Like think like real back in the day, like pre-internet, maybe even pre-TV. You get knocked out. It's written. There's a column written about it, right?
Yeah.
And there's a description of the fight. Now you get knocked out. Like in sports, you could freeze frame a million moments in a game, and it just does not look flattering at all.
No, I mean, look, your legacy lives on forever.
So everything now lives on in memes, and so like, hey, you got knocked out. Guess what? It's immortalized in jokes now.
It's the same. It's the same with Nate Robinson when he got knocked out. I mean, Among Us was that that huge video game that everybody's playing. Mobile everywhere, and then it was like, he's
an imposter.
Yeah, exactly. One imposter has been, or whatever. It's just the greatest. The internet has its moments. I'll say that.
Yeah. So that's kind of our little bit on the fighting. Last couple things, just some notes and things. I mean, nothing earth-shattering has happened in the NBA this week, and we can get into some specifics on some teams. I know you have a couple of Celtics notes you wanted to hit on, Christian, but one thing that I took away, I watched the Lakers and the Bucs, and we've been tough on Giannis, and I've been tough on Giannis because I expect more from him. And I watched points in that game, and I'm watching him because we've said like he needs to improve his jump shot, and I give him credit for attempting shots, but if you're not making them, dude, I kind of feel like where I am with Giannis is he should just pick a lane. Either really work on your craft to work on the jump shot and become, and you could be Kevin Durant, right? Kevin Durant is a freak because of how big he is and his handle and his shooting, right? But I honestly don't think that's in Giannis. You can't just suddenly become that if you're not that person. Just admit you're not that person. It's okay. Like Giannis does not have to have a jump shot. I've said he needs a jump shot to win a title. He needs a one if he's going to play the way he's playing now. If not, dude, just embrace it. Embrace not having a jump shot. But go stand in the paint, get the ball, and dominate physically. Be a big man. I know guys now, like you're tall, but like you feel like, oh, I can be a guard, blah, blah, blah. The NBA is so positionless. Go play inside. Go be a freak of nature. You can turn around and just dunk on almost half the league. Go do that. So it's two ways. He needs to either really, really dedicate himself, which I don't know if he's doing. I don't see improvement on the court. He may be trying hard, but I'm not seeing improvement on the court from his jump shot.
We know he's in the gym.
And so if you're not going to improve on that area, just embrace being the other thing.
Yeah.
Embrace being a guy that's going to play defense, run the floor, and if it's in the half court, go get in the paint. There's nothing offensive about that. People say, he can do more. Well, he can't. I think if the Bucs just try to keep, if it's just the Giannis show and he wants to like isolate and try and dribble dry, you see what happens late in games. These big games, teams just wall him off, and he either defers and it's Middleton having to run around and just huck up a big shot, or he's getting fouled and he can't make his free throws either. Get in the paint. Just embrace being the big guy.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. And it's just, I've been saying this for over a year now. Until he either embraces who he is and forgets being some sort of glorified shooter and having a true like jump shot, he can have a mid-range, like 10-foot, work on some little turnaround, some little pull-up shots. But if you're not gonna be Kevin Durant. Stop trying to be Kevin Durant. Right. Be Giannis. Just be the best Giannis that you can be, which is an absolute monster. And I just feel like he's still. We said that about LeBron a little bit, and it wasn't until 2012 that Game 6 against the Celtics in the Garden, he dropped 45 points. And what did he do? Post up almost every possession. Yeah. He was just saying, you know what? I'm a bully. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. I'm faster, and I'm just gonna force my way to the rim, and I'm gonna start in the paint because you can't get me out of here. And that's propelled him on his run now of sheer dominance. Until Giannis gets that, he's not going to win a title. And I don't even think they'll get to a conference championship until he does that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to improve. I don't know. Like, how many times have I seen him this year? I feel like in highlights where someone gives him a wide open three, he steps into it and airballs it. So I don't know. He's got to be able to shoot free throws and hopefully expand his game a little bit anyway. I don't think his work ethic is a problem. I think he wants it. He wants to win. He wants to be that guy. It's just a matter of can he get there, and I'm not so sure about that. I mean, we've seen it's the same with Ben Simmons. I feel like he's gone backwards. He hasn't developed a jump shot either, and it's just like.
But he doesn't take them, right? I think Ben Simmons at least has kind of just said, "I'm Ben Simmons. I don't have a jump shot. I can get into the paint. I can assist guys the ball. I can rebound. I can play defense, and I can make some of these crazy like jump shot, like hook shots and things. He doesn't try to be Steph Curry. He knows he's not.
Yeah,
I feel like Giannis is kind of like he has the physical tools to be Durant, but at this point, it's just like I just don't think that's who you are as a player. Embrace more of your strengths instead of at this point trying to make weaknesses strengths. That honestly might just never be a part of who you are.
Sure, yeah, no, I would agree with that. But who knows with Giannis? I don't know. We have to see it. That's really what it is. In the postseason, can he break through and get to finals? Can he improve his game in some ways and not others? I don't know. I mean, he still is not great from the line. He still can't shoot the three, and he's still trying to shoot, I feel like, too many almost. So he's got to find his identity here.
Kind
of push forward.
Because that's what happened. That was a big game for them. And there was times, especially in the second quarter, where he was taking a lot of those threes. And it was like, and I think Chris Webber on the call was saying he audibly being like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, Giannis, what are you doing? Be you. Don't try and be this guy. So we'll see. That was kind of like my biggest takeaway from the week. Obviously, lots of games.
Yeah.
Other note, I know you want to talk about the Celtics. I'll say this. I'm glad Peyton Pritchard only out 2 weeks with an MCL sprain.
That's good.
After 2 nights ago, right? Good news, because that looked ugly, especially Dwight Howard just shoving Jaylen Brown into Peyton Pritchard. And I was like, really? We're going to get robbed? Oh, I got to see if I can find. There was a great meme about back to the memes. I'll find it while you talk, but I'm glad Peyton Pritchard's going to be okay. But it brings up a point. I think NBA roster expansion is coming. If Peyton Pritchard's out, and it seems like Jeff Teague's been bad. After that good start, he's been bad. Bring back Isaiah Thomas. Please. That's all I'm going to say about the Celtics. That's my note to the Celtics this week. Bring back Isaiah Thomas.
Danny Ainge already said he's not going to do it.
Infuriates me.
Yeah. I would take a flyer on him because I think he could play, but also then when Pritchard comes back, you have 8 million guards already. I just don't know where he fits in with this particular team. I think he should be on a team. It might not be the Celtics, though. But I just want to do a quick 30 seconds on the Celtics. Jason Tatum went out with COVID, obviously. Luckily, they had Jaylen Brown, and they went 1-3 without Tatum. So I think this the main point for the Celtics is in order to be in the conversation, they're going to need Jason Tatum. I think Jaylen Brown is, in my opinion, he's in the early season MVP conversation. I just think the guy is playing, outrageously well. I don't know, like he just improves every year, so I shouldn't be surprised. But I am kind of surprised just because the guy is he's become a knockdown 3-point shooter. He can get to the hole whenever he wants. He needs to work on his free throws a little bit, but he just does everything, and I think maybe on the defensive end, he could pick it up a little bit more, but also it's not really his fault. You know, the team defense has not been good at all. Um, but I just think the point still stands. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to take this team as far as it can go. Now Walker is back, but again, I don't. Kemba Walker is your third guy now. I mean, that's just what it is. So without Tatum, they're 1-3 now, and they clearly need him back,
Obviously.
especially against teams like Philly, Milwaukee. Like without Tatum or Brown, they're in trouble, big trouble. So it's just been glorified here without Tatum on the floor that Jaylen Brown is a one-man show kind of. I mean, Kemba had a good game in there, but
he's on the minutes restriction too. So
yeah, I still don't think a lot of their bench. I don't know. Pritchard was playing the best out of anybody, I would say, for a stretch, and now he's out. So Teague has not been good, like you mentioned. Grant Williams has absolutely been useless in the last 4 games.
The consistency is tough, given like the COVID stuff. Like they were playing well, and then now no Tatum, and I agree it hasn't been good. I would have liked to have seen them win one of those games against Philly. And people are saying like, "Oh, Philly's clearly better." I was like, "Really?" These games were all close for the most part. Jaylen Brown clearly is. There's nobody that they have that can guard him, and Kemba's just getting back, and there's no Tatum. I would not be like. I wouldn't be starting a parade if I was Philly.
No, I would have liked to see Tatum in one of those games just to see what it looked like. But now he's got to get ramped up again because of the COVID stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. But now here comes all the pieces back. So Pritchard's out. But again, is he like super important to the road of the team? I'm not sure. I think he gives you some good minutes off the bench. But again, it's about Kemba coming back and mixing now with Brown and Tatum again. And now Tatum's out. So those 3 guys are going to be back here within the next few games. So we'll see what it looks like. But that's just quick minute on the Celtics is that they're just if one of those guys are out, they're in trouble.
Well, that's obvious. I mean, I don't think anybody would have said, "Well, hey, you could afford to lose Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum." No, not a shot. And Philly has been a tough regular season matchup for them the last 3 years. But then when it comes to nut cutting time, guess what happens? Scoreboard is the Celtics in the playoffs. So I'm not worried about Philly because I feel like Philly beating their chest as much after that game tells me that the Celtics still have a lot of real estate in between the ears.
Joel Embiid is cool. Okay, I just want to get that out there too. This guy is like, I don't know. I can't do it with Embiid. I feel like he hasn't really done anything. He can be a dominant force in the league, which is clear. But I don't know. There's just something until he does it, just shut up, dude. Yeah. The other quick thing I wanted to get to was the refereeing in the NBA is just this ruins the freaking product of the NBA for me. I will sit there and watch the NHL over the NBA, and this is just personal, if a game is going to be like the other night. I don't know how you're supposed to defend a guy in the paint if he's just going to get 22 free throws a game. That is unbearable to me. So I just think it hurts the product when these referees inject themselves so much. There's going to be contact in this sport. Can we just accept that and move on instead of giving a guy, 22 free throws? Now, Marcus Smart bitching about it, I don't think is a great look because he's a biggest flopper in the NBA. But,
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Exactly. That's the point. Is he's not wrong, and it's just down the stretch in these games should be compelling. It's close, but you have a guy shooting 22 free throws by himself. That is unbearable, and I just can't do it.
The one that got me, and it was in the first Sixers game, was Tobias Harris has the ball with 5 seconds to go on the shot clock on the right wing side. And he jumps in the air and then he's going to shoot, and then he turns and throws to pass it to Embiid. And Daniel Tice is standing there straight up and down. Just standing there. And as Harris contorts himself to throw the ball, he comes down and his arm hits Tice. It's all awkward, incidental contact, and Tice doesn't even move. Foul on Tice with 2 seconds on a shot clock. Who wants to see that? Nobody wants. If Tice, like, he jumped up and he, like, grabbed him by the arms, sure, yeah, got it. If he reached out, hey, you reach, I teach. When you see guys standing with their arms straight up and down and they're getting called for fouls, especially the big men, we want to see them fight. We want to see them battle.
Yeah.
Let them battle down low. That's when the NBA made its heyday back, was getting these guys. The 80s, they were in the 90s were tough battles. Now, yes, do we want to see guys taking swings at each other? No. Obviously, you have to, if you see that happening, you tee guys up, you start calling fouls, and you tell them to cut it out.
Yeah.
But then you get it, like, the tickiest of ticky-tack fouls on one end, and like Marcus Smart said, on the other end, nothing. So that's what bothers players the most, is consistency. If you're going to call it on that end, call it on that end.
And the other
That's all we
gripe
want.
this week, all I've heard is Tristan Thompson is not the answer. Tristan Thompson sucks. Tristan Thompson this. What do you want him to do? He's going to get called for a foul if he stands straight up anyway.
Yeah.
That would be my question. I don't think it's not
because Thompson's undersized. His strength is his strength that he can fight with guys.
And when Embiid wants to play, he can be one of the best players in the league. That's just point blank. It's just a matter of if he wants to, take over a game and do it. But I don't understand the severe criticism of Tristan Thompson, like he sucks all of a sudden because he can't defend Embiid. Nobody can if Embiid wants to play, first of all. Second of all, when he's getting called for 5 fouls in 2 minutes, like, what do you want him to do? That's the NBA issue, not a Tristan Thompson issue.
Yeah. No, I agree. Not a good week for NBA officiating because, one, it made headlines, and then it was still equally as bad after that. So that we'll have to continue. I did find the meme, by the way. This was because Peyton Pritchard has been like a surprise. We thought he would be a good, solid pick. I didn't think he'd come out of the gates the way he had. And if he had actually tore his ACL, thank God it's only an MCL sprain. He's just going to miss a short amount of time. And it shouldn't really derail his season. But this was a meme that I saw afterwards I thought was good. Hold on, let me hide the caption here. Actually, maybe not. Maybe we won't. That was not for I'll read it instead. It's KG from Uncut Gems, and the title is "If We Miss Out on Rookie of the Year, Fast PP, why the F would you show it to me if I can't have it?"
Yeah.
Basically, that was the deal. It's like, come on, like, really? We get this guy's playing, especially for a young guy. You hate anybody getting ACL injuries or just, ugh.
Yeah.
You hate to see it.
Now that I see that meme, just to remind, can we just put out a PSA? Stop with
Fast
the fast
PP?
PP. Oh my God, this is just. I'm sorry if you came up with the nickname, whoever it is, but this is the worst nickname of all time. It would be in the non-Hall of Fame of nicknames, since we had a Hall of Fame day here. So yeah, let's just stop with the fast P. I don't even understand it. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think it is the worst nickname in all of pro sports ever, possibly ever.
Yeah. So those are our NBA thoughts from this past week. Moving along to the NHL, my kind of takeaway from this week for the NHL is that it's going to, obviously we know it's going to be a weird year because of COVID. We've already had teams that missed the starts of their season. Now teams like the Capitals are going to have a lot of players missing games because of protocols. Players' wives aren't so happy about the protocols, but it's going to be an up and down year. I think the standings are going to look like a mess for a long time. Personally, locally, the Bruins, I think obviously the last couple wins is good, but I think in the long run, and it'll be interesting to see if there are any teams that are like, oh my God, the President's Cup winner, clearing away, favorites of the year, dominating, they only lose 18 games. I don't know if there's any team that's going to be able to do that this year just because of how upended and inconsistent scheduling and all these sorts of things will be. Yeah. Bruins specifically, I think with their youth are going to be an up and down team. And obviously you can be an 8 seed and win a cup. We've seen it plenty of times before. It's just about if you get hot and if you got a good goaltender. So if Rask is locked in and this experience, their young guys get experience, I think they're going to be somewhere in the 6 to 8 seed. And you're going to be like, I don't know what they can do. And maybe they go on a run. But they will not be what they've been the last couple of years, which is a team that's like the 1 or 2 seed. And you're looking at them like, wow, they're the favorites. That's not going to be the Boston Bruins this year, not by a long shot.
No, but I will say I'm pleasantly surprised with the product so far. Since Bruce Cassidy kind of ripped the team a new one the other day against Philly in the second intermission. They've come out and played good hockey. All year long, they've been consistently good team defense-wise, which has been surprising because I thought,
Shocking.
some of the new guys on the back end there would be question marks. Like Zaboral, I think he's been stout. He's been pretty good. Same with Grzelcyk is hurt now, but Clifton came in last night, did fine. It's a matter of if this team can put the damn puck in the net. That is really the biggest question, which they hadn't been. And then Bruce Cassidy kind of just like, what are we doing here? And he gave this big speech and pretty much yelled at his team all the second intermission from what we hear the other day. And then they came out and started shooting the puck, which is what you need to do. And look at that, the puck went in the net. So I don't think they're not going to be Tampa Bay. They're not going to be Washington. Could they beat those teams in a 7-game series? I have no idea at this stage, but I'm pleasantly surprised with the product on the ice because I think they've been better than I expected here early on. And look, I mean, they still got, the usual suspects. Marchand and Bergeron have both been very good. Trent Frederick out of nowhere has been pretty good. And then you got Craig Smith and Coyle there on the third line now that they're kind of rolling here. So it's good to see, and I'm just surprised with the product at how good they've been comparatively to where I thought they might be here early on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the young guys, and this is the thing. We questioned the young players, especially on defense, and we said, what's the goaltender going to be? Is Rask going to be focused this year? Because when he shows up, he's one of the best. He has a tendency to not show up.
Yeah.
So what is he going to be? Early on, it seems like he's locked and loaded. Like you said, the young guys have been a surprise. And then the offense doesn't score. That goal, I think, the goaltender could check out real quick if we get a month into the season and his team's not scoring for him. So it's kind of like, come on, guys, pick up the slack here.
10 goals, 2 games. So hopefully they didn't just peak too early and then they don't do anything the rest of the year. But the other thing is Pasternak is not yet out on the ice. So he's skating now and he'll be back in early February, hopefully. So that's another component because that not only helps the Bergeron line and the scoring, but it also kind of spreads the other guys out. And somebody's got to come out, which I guess it's Bjork at this stage. But, that gives other guys opportunities as well once Pasta comes back.
Yeah. So, I didn't really have any much more from the NHL. I will actually find where's this. I want to find. I think it was Alex Ovechkin's wife. And this has been happening. In the NBA too. I think it was George Hill said, question protocols like, wait, so I can play a game, be sweating on the floor with these guys, but then it's not safe for me to shake his hand after the game. If it's not safe for that, maybe we shouldn't be playing. Or if I can have somebody in my hotel room, but I can't shake this guy's hand. Now they obviously the NBA's tightened things up, as has the NHL. But the Capitals got caught. I think it was Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Orlov and Samsonov were in a hotel room, maskless, on a recent road trip, and that got them in trouble, especially when Samsonov tested positive. So they got in trouble. And I understand it. It breaks the protocol because I'm sure from these guys' perspective, they're like, listen, I play the game with you. I'm hugging you on the bench. I'm hugging you. If the team themselves want to be in the hotel room with each other, I get the point, but the protocols are the protocols. And so you can have to face the consequences. But Ovechkin's wife was not happy. Let me see if I can find. She was like, of course, all the other NHL players, when playing away, separating themselves from their teammates. Of course, you can't catch the virus when you and your teammates sit together on the bench, hug each other, or when they score a goal, or when they're all together in the lounge or locker room. Players can't get infected when they are at restaurants, supermarkets, malls, etc. Virus only works in a hotel room.
None too pleased, yeah.
Not happy. But did you have any thoughts on the Capitals situation? Washington Capitals situation, not the Washington Capitol situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the most notable thing is just be smarter. Like, it's not just about you and your teammates, about the other guys on the ice. Like Marchand, I saw came out and said something about, we all know the protocols. We have responsibility. Like, that's just what it is. I understand you want to sit with your teammates in the hotel and talk, but just follow the protocols, and so we can get through a year. I just want to get through, a season here. So there's going to be ups and downs. It's been the same with every sport, but like I said from the beginning, it's on the players. So they want to do that stuff. You reap what you sow. You're going to get punished for it.
Yeah. Last note here, we had the discussion last week about the Olympics. More news came out this week, which was quickly refuted by the Japanese State Department and everything, that they are planning to cancel because they realistically said we're not going to postpone again because then you already have the Winter Olympics happening in 2022. So we're not going to go through this whole, flipping and flopping thing. We'll just say, hey, Japan, maybe 2032, you can get it again. They refuted the claims that they're planning for that inevitability. They got to make the call soon because I don't know how much time you have, because I'm sure they're hoping that, hey, vaccine rollouts and enough players and enough countries get vaccinated and the countries are comfortable with international travel, enough players, competitors, athletes are comfortable coming, and we don't have to have a locked down village. But if you're going to do a lockdown village, you better start getting that in place right now, because the Olympics, as we know, you get awarded the Olympics, it's like a 10-year process of planning to get that thing up and running. And to try and pull an audible and say, at this point they've had a year to maybe say, how can we bubble? What can we put in place just from infrastructure and procedure and everything? Hopefully they have something kind of ready to go. If they don't, it's kind of too late to now say, well, we'll make the Olympics a bubble. I can't. It's it's the 11th hour at 58 minutes for the Olympics. I say, just looking at it, I don't see it happening. I know Adrian Wojnarowski reported that USA Basketball sent out invitations to 60 players to see if express their interest in joining the team for the Olympics, which would start the day after the NBA finals. Yeah. So I don't know, at least from the USA Basketball standpoint, I don't know if they'll even be able to field a team. But the Olympics as a whole, I just feel like it's unfortunate for Japan, because obviously so much goes into it. There's so much money. That's hopefully a boost for your economy, especially coming out of what will have been this pandemic and losing so much tourist revenue. It would have been a big thing. If it can happen, it will be great. Realistically, it's the type of thing that I just don't see being able to be pulled off at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, at this stage, you got to figure it out here pretty quick. The only thing I'll say is if a report comes out and then it's immediately refuted, there's something to it. So, I would say that chances are it will not go on. But at the same time, either way, it's coming up pretty quick here. It's not like, you have time to waste. So if you're trying to figure out plans and how to pull it off, it's got to be pretty soon.
Yeah. They're all the headlines denying. IOC officials still plan for summer games as reports of possible cancellations emerge. I haven't seen. I'd have to dig into some of these deeper dive articles. I know the Ringer just put out a really good. I love the Ringer does great work. They put out a really lengthy article. I'd have to really dive into that to see if they have any insight as to. Well, they've already, there is plans. It is going to be bubble-like. Like I said, I hope if they have infrastructure and procedures in place and it's really just about, hey, getting to a point where this type of international travel and this type of an activity is allowed, then by July, that's the type of thing. It's like, hey, it's all ready to go. We just need the okay. Then you could wait till June. Everybody come on in. But if you're waiting to try and have the Olympics the way you wanted to have them and not the way you'd have to have them, then too much smoke for it not to be true. And if I believe that it's probably not going to happen. So
yeah,
that'll do it for the program here today. So a lot of NFL talk here today on the show that dominated the 2 hours here. So once again, we'll have Packers and Bucs at 3:05, and then I think 6:40, Chiefs and Bills. Me and Christian differ a little bit. We both think the Chiefs are going to get there. I happen to think that the Packers will be playing in the Super Bowl. He happens to think that Tom Brady will get to his 10th Super Bowl. And no matter what, it's going to be a historic day. I think no matter who gets there, it's going to be. I hope these games are both good, and it'll be a historic matchup no matter who is in it, and compelling no matter what, which is always good. It's tough when you say like, hey, if these two guys get there, this won't be a good matchup. It should be compelling no matter what. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and those who jumped in. We're live every Sunday starting at 11 a.m. to right around 1 p.m. Through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. You can like, follow, and subscribe on all those platforms to catch the show live and interact with us through the comment section. You can also always email the show at the360sportshow@gmail.com throughout the live stream or throughout the week, and we'll answer those questions when we get to our mailbag segments and throughout the show, wherever they're appropriate. And if you couldn't catch us live, you can subscribe to the podcast version of the show, which comes out in about an hour from now when we conclude this program through Sounder FM or wherever you like to get your podcasts from. So that'll do it for today of the 360 Sports Show. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber. Go Bucs,
go.
See you, everybody.